Hello and welcome back, Goblins. Today we're going to be looking at a new game that just came out called Conquest Dark. I did play through a little bit, ended up unlocking all the classes, and then I decided I was going to reset all my save data so that we could kind of experience the journey together a little bit. So, the story of the game is now 237 years after the appearance of the Black Planet and the rise of undead armies that laid waste to the kingdoms of humanity, the fall of the cosmic gods, and the awakening of the long-slumbering primordial ones. Only Catharia, the City of Legends, stands as the last bastion of hope for humanity. Champions, seekers of honor, devoted followers of cosmic and primordial deities, convicted criminals, and other lost souls partake in the dark rituals to awaken the once defeated undead monstrosities and fallen legendary heroes, seeking knowledge and power to uncover the secrets of the Black Planet. Reclaim what once belonged to humanity. Excuse me. So essentially there was a cataclysm, Black Planet mysteriously appeared in the sky, undead invaded and destroyed the Earth, and now we're trying to reclaim the Earth, TLDR. Cool. So you start with just one zone to go to for options, but as you can see, it does expand out quite a bit. There is a lot to this game now that's been released, so let's go ahead and start here. When you click on it at the bottom, it's going to show you what you will unlock by beating the level. Each skull is a boss you must defeat, or a point in the battle you have to get to, I guess. I'm pretty sure it's tied directly to bosses, but so yeah. If we defeat this one, we're going to unlock a new ritual location. We're going to unlock an altar of power, which will allow us to use the red meta currency up here in order to just overall increase our damage done, which is pretty cool. We're going to unlock the Stygian Archive, which is how we level up our individual weapons and skills. And then we're going to get some soul fragments and some soul coins. That's for defeating the first boss. Second skull, we're going to get Shifting Sands, another new ritual location, so we will unlock 2 new levels here. Permanent stat increase of 3 rerolls, thank god, because rerolls are super important in this game. Some more soul coins, and then if we beat the full ritual and we make it to the death wave, we are going to unlock increased armor stats, which gives you a chance for a rare item stat. This is equivalent to Diablo 4's oh my gosh, it's been a while since I played Diablo 4. Their greater aspect thing, where it's like started out and increases the stats. That's basically what it is. Alright, so let's begin. Now you can reroll this starting page as many times as you want to find what you want. I tend to want to get a chance to find rare items as one of the starting things, but I don't know if that's actually unlocked at the start. Oh, it is. Good. So Barbarian, chance for rare items, or we could do Hunter. Barbarian is like melee weapons. Hunter is ranged weapons, though they can use some fast melee weapons that you unlock later. Let's start with Barbarian. We have the choice of going two-handed weapons and reduce bleed rate. Heavy armor, so you have a lot of armor sets that have plus health on them. I don't know what the proficiency with shields means for sure on this one. Bonus health, short bows, survival, projectile pierce, so you can still go ranged if you want to do Barbarian. I don't think it gels as well with the abilities that the Barbarian has, but maybe I'll give it a try someday. I'm just going to do the standard two-handed weapon right now. Your character starts with 100 health and 10 lives. If you lose all your health, one of your lives is removed. Your health resets back to 100, and you gain a bleed stack. Each bleed stack reduces your character's health by 1% of maximum health per second until your health reaches 1. While bleed stacks cannot be removed, you can strengthen your defenses to mitigate effects of bleeding. Building your character's defense is just as important as increasing your damage. The best way to counter bleeding is to avoid losing lives altogether. Focus on improving your resistances, maximum health, dodge chances, and movement speed to minimize damage taken and reduce chances of getting hit. If you're already bleeding, you can mitigate its effects by stacking reduced bleed rate to slow the bleeding, or by boosting health regeneration and chance to gain healing souls to recover health. Okay. Gives you all your controls right there. Well, it's not actually all of them, but it's what we need. You can move between them with the keyboard, or you can click it with the mouse. If you want to select it with the keyboard, you have to hit E to select. Or if you're on a controller, it's probably something different. Which honestly, I bet this game plays amazingly on the controller. I'll have to try that out soon. Right now I'm just using keyboard. Maybe I'll try that in the next video. Alright, so we have 3 choices of our class mastery. This is basically the passive abilities you get every time you level up. So we got Berserker Rage, which is going to scale our attack speed per life that we lose, increase our damage per life that we lose. We have Resilience, which is going to stagger damage we take and increase our damage taken reduction per life that we lose. Or we have Bloodthirst, which is going to give us attack speed and chance to spawn a healing soul. I tend to like to go for Bloodthirst first, just because it gives you that nice little power spike at the beginning. Plus it gives you some initial healing to ensure that you can kind of stay alive through the bosses and stuff. I do find that the beginning levels are quite easy. I'd say the first 3 or 4 levels are quite easy, but then it gets significantly harder. So I'm not a fan of Seismic Slam. I've tried it a few times. We're going to go with Axe Toss so we have a little bit of range capabilities. This will be helpful for taking out archers when they show up later. Alright, I'm just gonna kill some things and mute my mic for a second. Okay, so when you first defeat your first boss, you unlock your first piece of equipment. It's not there right now, but later on we're going to get equipment set bonuses. So choosing like equipment pieces is important. Right now we have Stalker Cap, or Stalker Cap. So we're going to be looking at the substats to determine which one we're going to take. I'm going to not worry about the spawning a healing soul because I already kind of have that through Bloodthirst. So I think what I'm going to go for is all damage and crit hit damage. It also gives us some all resist, which is good. Like I said, the first level is pretty easy, so it doesn't really matter. I think if you choose any of those, you're going to be successful. So Giant's Reach is interesting because it makes it so your sword swings out further and arcs further, which is a pretty good skill. Now, I do want to get quite a bit more attack speed because we're still attacking hella slow. And even with a two-handed weapon, you can actually get the attack speed up relatively good. Especially once you start unlocking items later, which can increase your attack speed per auto attack. There's a number of different items you can hold. In each run, you can hold up to 2 artifacts. And those artifacts will do things like increase your crit damage, or make your crits mega crits, or make your auto attack faster, and make frozen enemies shatter, all kinds of fun effects. So yeah, that'll be a thing we unlock as we go through the levels as well. Game does a really nice job of not overwhelming you with too much at once, and just letting you incrementally unlock things, so you can kind of learn all the systems, which is really nice. Whirlwind is an all-around amazing ability. It's actually pretty good too. I'm gonna go with Whirlwind because we don't have a ton of attack speed stacked, and I feel like attack speed is pretty necessary for execute. Okay, so we gotta choose which pants we want here. I'm gonna lean to crit. Since we don't really have set bonuses, kind of getting some crit chance and crit damage will help us scale our damage for these initial levels. So we're gonna go that route. I think you could certainly make a point of just going raw damage as well. That could be a good option too. Those little gray coins like that, that's your meta progression to level up your skills like Axe Toss, Slayer's Blade, and Whirlwind. Anything basically that you choose as a upgrade from one of the scroll runes can be upgraded. So I think I don't love these options, but I don't have any rerolls. So I guess I'll go extra attack reach and arc. Just make that sword swing a little bigger. try to get it so it's basically at the outside of our whirlwind, because our whirlwind is doing most of everything at the moment, but it won't be able to keep up later. So we want to get that swing a little bit bigger. You might notice that not every enemy drops an XP orb. It's like every third enemy or so drops an XP orb. So there's actually a thing that you get later, which are like soul fragments that can drop. And these can be used to fine-tune other stats like XP drop rates, health globe drop rate, crit chance, attack speed. Basically any stat in the game can show up on the soul stones. And those are pretty handy. You unlock those around like your 4th level or so. But at the moment we just gotta deal with the fact that every third enemy or so spawns us a health or an XP globe, which is fine. But once you start getting XP spawn chance, it's really nice. Alright, definitely go for more crit chance here. Now one that has movement and crit damage could be pretty handy since we're scaling crit chance also. So that might be one to look into. It would make our whirlwind even more of a force to be reckoned with. Because right now its crits are pretty low, right? But if we start scaling that up, it'll start rapidly critting for like 200-300, which at this point in the meta progression is not bad. Later on you start scaling up into 100,000s, but you know, you start slow. I'm gonna mute my mic, my daughter needs something real quick, but we're gonna keep playing. While I was talking to my daughter there, I lost a life, so I'm at now 9 lives instead of 10. We're going to do bonus health and reduce bleed rate here. So again, every time you lose a life, you increase your bleed rate a little bit. And so now I'm losing 1% of my max life every second. So I'm going to have to offset this with health globes, because we don't have the things yet that give us this raw regeneration, because that's an unlock. So we just gotta try to minimize the amount of lives we lose here. We can take things like resilience, which reduces the amount of life we lose, based on, or the amount of damage we take based on the lives we lost. Or we could do that crit damage. I'm gonna do the crit damage for now, just to try to scale up our damage a little bit. We'll lose less lives if we kill things quicker. That said, if we don't seem to be making an impact on that, then we might alter and go more defensive. The Reap Slam is actually a very strong ability, so using it to clear big packs of mobs is pretty helpful, at least early in the game's progression. Later on you're not going to be one-shotting things, but early on it'll kill most things. Alright, grab another item. Since we have lost some health, we've lost some lives, I think getting more healing globe spawns is going to be helpful for us, just so we can maintain our health pool against the bleeding rate. You don't actually have to kill mobs to spawn the health globes. You can spawn them just from hitting them, which is kind of nice. Okay, let's max out Rampage, get that 150% crit damage. There we go. We will also, in future runs, unlock runes for our abilities, which will allow us to modify how they function, which is pretty cool. Like you can convert this primal damage attack to do frost damage or fire damage, and it'll also boost the damage when you do that. Things like that. There's some pretty fun things that you can do later on. It definitely does a nice slow rollout, so you're limited in your options early, but that's helpful because then you don't get overwhelmed with possibilities, and you can kind of learn the different systems and mechanics as you go. I think this game does a really good job of tutorializing the system without making it feel like a tutorial, if that makes sense. That's something you don't see in very many games. It's usually very, very obvious when you're in a tutorial, but I honestly feel like how the game rolls out, its unlocks, is almost like a extended tutorial in and of itself, which is really cool. Alright, we're going to do more crit chance and power ability damage, which is going to be our axe tosses. That way they can hit a little bit harder. We got a boss, Lord Commando Urian. This guy is a pain in the butt, mostly because of those chains. The best way to deal with him is just hug tight and rotate around. Now that can be a problem in the early game progression when you don't really have enough damage to deal with all the guys coming around you. But it's okay, we'll do the best we can. We're going to need to probably start grabbing the damage mitigation for life lost, and probably more of the Primal Fury, which gives us the damage and attack speed for life lost. So we're almost certainly going to go down to like 4 lives here on this guy. I don't know if we'll actually win this first one. I did the last time I did this, but I'm having a much worse run this time. Once you start losing lives on this first one, it gets real hard. If you can manage to not lose any lives on this very first level, it's beneficial, obviously. Later on, losing lives isn't as big of a deal because you'll get other ways to deal with it. But yeah, I suppose this would be a good time to note that you can actually not lose a life through bleeding. So it can take me all the way down to 1 HP, but the bleeding won't kill me. I have to get physically hit by someone in order to lose the life. Okay, let's reduce the bleed rate significantly here because it's definitely starting to add up. Got lucky that we got that as a stat option there. That should help stabilize us. Now, on bosses, you can take as long as you want on them, but after a certain amount of time, it'll pause the timer, and once the timer is paused, it will be red. Once it is red, you no longer earn experience from killing guys. The only way you can earn experience at that point is if you get the plus XP spawn chance. You may notice that my character here is looking a little worse for wear. If you look kind of closely, you will notice that he is missing the skin and muscle around his left leg, and he's missing the skin around his right leg. His right arm is also down to just a skeleton arm. There's basically 3 stages of damage. There's skin stripped but muscle showing, or there's full health, you're just a person. Stage 2, which is skin stripped but muscle showing, and then stage 3, which is just profusely bleeding and only the bone showing. And that's kind of where we're at on a good chunk of our body. Now that doesn't actually affect your combat damage, it just gives you a good visual as to like how damaged you are and how close you are to dying. Once you become a full skeleton bleeding out of every orifice, you're on death's door. Hopefully we don't get to that point on this run, because we don't have a way to pull it back if we do. Later on, once you get things that give you dodge and health regeneration, it helps a lot. There's a warrior shout ability also that gives you like health recovery for enemy pets, which is very nice. Okay, I guess he's barbarian, not warrior, but you get the idea. Okay, here we're going to invest in attack speed and damage increase for life lost. We've lost 6 lives. So 6 times 2.5. Oh my god. Okay, we're on the death wave. You cannot beat those green ghosts. They just kill you. So we beat that level. Yay! And we unlocked all those things we went over before. Cool. We've now unlocked the Stygian Archive. Open it by clicking the location on the world map and then the Browse Archive button. In this archive, you can view all unlocked content and upgrade weapon sets and abilities with soul coins. So let's go on in there. This is going to show you all the different things you can unlock. Some of them it leaves as mysteries. As you can see, there's an event you can unlock. This is really cool. all kinds of different armor things. The most important one is Ancient Rarity, but that level is actually pretty hard to beat, so it's not like you can beeline straight to it. You have to get some meta progression first. And you got the different origins that you can unlock. These will unlock naturally as you unlock other classes, so they'll just kind of show up. Classes: Barbarian and Hunter are your starting classes. There's also Thief, Mage, and Paladin. You got all your masteries, and again, these just kind of unlock naturally as you unlock the classes and the different origins. Weapon sets: these are the individual weapons themselves. You can level them up. You spend your gray and gold coins to do so. So if I were to click into Slayer's Blade, for example, I could upgrade it for 10 silver coins and get 5% more ability damage. I can also do that with individual power abilities. So if you're like, hey, I really want to run this build that's using Ravager Axes and Axe Toss, you could level up those two things and make them stronger. There's of course stuff for the Hunter as well, which I haven't showed you guys yet. I'll show you that next. There's passive abilities. These are what just happen every X number of seconds. So passive abilities are either always active or they happen on a timer. They're not triggered by your auto attacks. Versus power abilities are triggered directly by your auto attacks. You can see they have an energy cost, and each individual weapon generates a different amount of energy. For instance, the Slayer's Blade generates 8 energy per hit. The Ravager Axes generate 15. So Ravager Axes is probably a better thing to go if you want to lean into power abilities. Slayer's Blade is probably a better thing to go if you want to lead into passive abilities. That kind of thing. Leap, so you can level up your movement abilities as well, which is kind of cool. We will be unlocking runes soon. This is things that modify your abilities, so you'll see that. And artifacts, which we have not unlocked yet. Let's see, what are we at for time? We're at 22 minutes. Let's go ahead and end this episode here, and we will do the next run right away, and I'll see you guys for the next one.